It's another Raw video from your favorite YouTube scout, Draftrawthentic. Yes, I am finally here making another video, and like I said, it's a Raw one, so there will be no edits. Now, if you could tell by the title, this is the draft forecast for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, the enemy of my favorite team, the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'm Draftrawthentic, so there will be no bias. Anywho, if you don't know what a draft forecast is, a draft forecast is basically me predicting who will be the biggest boom pick, who will be the biggest bust pick, and who will be the late round steal for each and every team for the 2018 NFL Draft. Now, to explain it even further, I try to do it, like I said, years down the road. And when it comes to the biggest boom and the biggest bust pick, I'll be looking at players that were picked in the first 3 rounds, or at least the first 3 players drafted from a team if they didn't have, a player picked in the first 3 rounds, or at least 3 players picked in the first 3 rounds. And then also, the late round steal obviously explains itself as basically a player that's picked on day 3 of the draft, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round pick. And it's just me, explaining who will be the late round steal. Who do I think will be better than the position or the draft pick that they were picked at. So anyway, without further ado, skipping all that mumbo jumbo, let's just get into it with the boom pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 2018 NFL Draft. I have James Washington. Now, you would say James Washington being a big boom pick. Why do you have James Washington? The Steelers got Antonio Brown and they got Juju Smith-Schuster, so it's going to be hard for him to really, get into the starting lineup with all the other players that they have. Well, like I said, this is a prediction video for what these players will do in the future. And I feel as though James Washington has a chance to be a very, very good receiver in the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If he plays well enough, you could actually see, and I'm be the first one to predict this, Antonio Brown being released from the Pittsburgh Steelers within, I say, the next 3 years. It's not too far-fetched. I think the situation that happened was like 2 years ago with the whole him videotaping in the locker room after they beat the Chiefs, and Mike Tomlin talked about the Patriots. I think that with that situation, with the situation with Le'Veon Bell, I don't think they're too keen on keeping players that are causing distractions and may not. And even though they're like huge contributors, maybe just a little bit too much for the team, and they don't want to have all of those type of distractions. They just want to get straight to football and be able to win Super Bowls. And honestly, since you've had guys like Antonio Brown, Antonio Brown is a good person. Like, he's not a bad person, but people that, he may be a little bit too, star, like big. He may be a little big headed. You know what I mean? He just may be. I mean, Le'Veon Bell with his problems that he's had, and then Antonio Brown, I know that's just one thing, but still, you just never know. But just getting back to the biggest boom pick with James Washington, I just feel as though he has a skill set that is better than what people may give him credit for. He's going to possibly be one of the best deep threat receivers in the league. Surprisingly deep threat receiver for a guy that I think he ran in the 4.4s in a 40-yard dash. To me, he's a 4.3 guy on the field. I mean, it's the technique that he uses to run past cornerbacks to make big plays. Just get into a little bit, the way that he stacks the corner, the way he knows how to swipe the hands down, and instead of just running and have the corner on the side of him, when he runs a deep route, the corner is directly behind him. That means that if this is him and this is the corner, you're running side by side. When the ball is thrown, the corner can kind of reach over. But when you're stacked, the corner have to try to reach over the body like this instead of from the side like that. And if you do like this, it's an automatic PI. So that's why I think James Washington will probably be the biggest boom pick out of the 4 players picked in the first 3 rounds by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, who will be the biggest bust pick? I actually have it be Terrell Edmunds. I love Terrell Edmunds' energy, and I love his no-quit attitude. I love the way that he kind of plays. He plays with a lot of energy, plays with just a lot of, like, you know what I mean? Just it's that high motor that you like seeing. And but with Terrell Edmunds, the biggest problem with him is, he has all of that, but it's the actual making of the plays that, when it comes to when you're counting on him to be able to make a play one-on-one, it's a little inconsistent. Tackling, he's a pretty solid tackler, but I think he's a better big hitter than he is a tackler. So tackling is kind of a little inconsistent. He could always get better and try to make sure that he does bring down the person. When it comes to covering, I don't think he's that great of a cover guy. He's pretty okay at it. But like I said, there needs to be consistency with him as a player, and that's what will make him better, with him get better. There's a reason why he was considered what do you call it? One of those guys that's picked in the first rounds that shouldn't have been picked. A reach. I'm sorry. I almost forgot what the word was called. There's a reason why he was considered one of the biggest reaches in the draft, and reason being is because of the things I just said, with the inconsistency of him as a cover man and as a tackler for the safety position. So if he gets better at that, he's definitely going to be pretty darn good. But if you're talking about someone that has the biggest bust factor, I will have to go with him. I could have actually chosen the offensive tackle Chuck Okafor, but with him, I don't put too much stock in him anyway. And yeah, he's a third-round pick and stuff, and that's pretty high for a player like that. But I just can't put too much stock in a guy like Chuck Okafor. So that's why, Terrell Edmunds being the first-round pick, I have to choose him as possibly the biggest bust in the first 3 rounds for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now for the late round still, I think that they got actually one of the biggest sleepers in the draft, and that is Jalen Samuels. Let me just tell you this guy is a tight end, slot receiver, running back / fullback. He can play all 4 of those positions, and he can even throw the ball. He is the ultimate gadget weapon. He is the Swiss Army knife. He is literally Delaney Walker before Delaney Walker was in the NFL. When Delaney Walker got into the NFL, they kind of had, Swiss Army knife, but he was kind of set at one position, and then they start moving him around, being with what was the team he was with? The San Francisco 49ers and stuff like that. But when it comes to a guy like a Jalen Samuels, this guy is doing this stuff in college. So he can do it in the NFL, and he's got the speed, he's got the strength, he's got everything that you're looking for. 5'11", over 220 pounds, can definitely get to 230. Like I said, he could be a backup running back. He can be your fullback. He can catch out of the backfield. He can throw the ball. You can put him in a slot. You can put him as a tight end. You got someone that will make plays, and I think that will be a top offensive weapon within the NFL. So anyway, if you like this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more content from Draftrawthentic, especially looking at maybe what your rival teams may have done in the draft, please subscribe to the channel. Please share this video, and please comment if you didn't like what I had to say about any of these players so we can debate about it. So anyway, this is Draftrawthentic. I thank you for watching. Goodbye.